The morning sun had barely risen, yet the forest remained wrapped in a cold blanket of mist. A soft silver fog drifted between the towering trees, moving gently with the early breeze. Every sound felt muted, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a bird, even the heartbeat of nature itself. It was a peaceful scene, yet beneath the calmness lay something fragile, something struggling. In the middle of this vast, quiet forest, a tiny injured baby animal slowly dragged itself across the damp earth. Whether it was a small puppy, a kitten, or a baby deer, its pain, fear, and helplessness were the same. Its trembling little body told a story without words. One leg limped. Its breathing was shallow. The soft fur on its side was damp from dew, or maybe from tears. The baby paused for a moment, lifting its head with difficulty. Its big, innocent eyes scanned the surroundings, searching for warmth, for comfort, for someone, anyone, who might hear its silent cry. The forest, however, remained still. Ancient trees stood like giants around it, watching in quiet sympathy. The leaves above shifted slightly, as if whispering prayers for the tiny creature below. Every few steps, the baby animal winced. Pain traveled through its body like a wave, forcing it to stop and rest. Yet something inside its little heart kept pushing it forward, maybe the memory of its mother, maybe instinct, or maybe a faint spark of hope that refused to die. The forest floor was cold under its feet. The scent of wet soil filled the air. Tiny particles of mist glowed as the sun tried to break through the clouds. It felt like nature itself was holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The baby animal tried to stand again, but its legs shook uncontrollably. It stumbled and fell, whimpering softly. Its body curled up, as if trying to protect itself from the world. For a moment, it lay completely still, exhausted, scared, and overwhelmed. Its eyes glistened with tears that slid slowly toward the ground. It blinked weakly and looked around once more. There was no sound of footsteps. No mother calling back. No comforting warmth. Just the lonely echo of its own heartbeat and the quiet sadness of the forest. But what the tiny creature didn't know was that its fate was about to change. Something, or someone, was already moving through the forest. Someone who would hear what the world had ignored. Someone who would arrive at the exact moment this little life needed the most. Something was coming, something that would rewrite its entire story. Rehook, ere the forest had been silent for too long, but the silence was about to break. The forest had been quiet for hours, but then, something shifted. A soft crunch of leaves. A distant echo of footsteps. The tiny injured baby animal, lying curled on the cold ground, lifted its head slightly. Its ears twitched, its eyes widened, not with fear this time, but confusion. Something was approaching. Slowly. Carefully. Almost cautiously, as if trying not to scare whatever was hiding in the shadows. Between the trees, a faint silhouette emerged. A human. A young traveler, maybe in their early 20s, carrying a small backpack and walking stick. They weren't here to camp or wander. They were moving with purpose, following something only they could sense. Their boots left gentle prints on the wet soil as they stepped closer, guided by an instinct stronger than reason. Suddenly, the traveler stopped. They felt it. Not a sound, not a cry, but a presence, fragile and trembling. The traveler lowered themselves slightly, scanning the ground, moving a branch aside. And then they saw it. The little baby animal lying helplessly among fallen leaves, its fur messy and damp, its big frightened eyes staring back. The traveler's heart tightened. They whispered softly, Hey, hey, little one. It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you." The baby animal blinked slowly. It didn't run. It couldn't. But something inside it recognized the soft tone, a voice different from the silent forest. A voice that felt safe. The traveler knelt down, hands open and visible, showing no threat. Their breath slowed out of instinct, trying to make every movement gentle and calm. The baby animal flinched when the traveler reached out, but the traveler didn't force anything. They waited, patiently. A minute passed, maybe two. Then the baby animal, exhausted and desperate, let out the smallest whimper, a heartbreaking sound that carried its entire struggle. That was enough. The traveler leaned closer, examining the injury. It wasn't fatal, but it was painful. The little creature needed warmth, food, and safety. Soon. Very soon. I've got you now, the traveler whispered. They opened their backpack and pulled out a soft cloth, a small blanket they used for camping. Slowly, they wrapped it around the tiny creature, lifting it gently. The baby animal's body shivered at first, then relaxed slightly as warmth spread through the fabric. For the first time in hours, it wasn't alone. The traveler held the little creature close to their chest, protecting it from the cold air, from the mist, from everything the forest had thrown its way. They stood up, looking deeper into the trees, deciding their next step. But one thing was certain: this moment was the beginning of a rescue. Rehook. But the forest had one more challenge waiting. A test that neither the rescuer nor the tiny creature saw coming. With the tiny creature wrapped safely in the cloth, the traveler held it close, feeling its faint heartbeat against their chest. Every few seconds, the baby animal let out a small, shaky breath, a quiet reminder of how fragile this moment was. The traveler knew they needed to move quickly. The forest was beautiful, yes, but it also held dangers that didn't care about innocence or weakness. They began walking toward the direction of the nearest trail, but the forest seemed different now. The mist grew thicker, the air heavier. The sunlight that once slipped through the leaves was fading behind a sudden blanket of clouds. The traveler tightened their grip around the small creature as if protecting it from the forest itself. Suddenly, the wind picked up, shaking the branches overhead. Leaves swirled across the ground, and the once peaceful path turned unfamiliar. The traveler paused, glancing around. This wasn't here earlier, they murmured. The forest had shifted. It felt as though nature was testing them, asking if they truly intended to save the fragile life they carried. The baby animal whimpered, its tiny nose pressing against the traveler's jacket. It's okay, the traveler whispered. I know. We'll get through this. They took another step. Then another. But the path ahead twisted in strange ways. A fallen tree blocked the usual trail. The sound of distant water, perhaps a stream, roared louder than before, as if trying to drown their courage. The traveler stood still, listening. They knew panic would only make things worse. So they closed their eyes for a brief moment, letting their instincts guide them, letting the small weight in their arms remind them of why they couldn't afford to give up. Step by step, they found another route, narrow, uneven, but passable. The baby animal shivered again. The traveler held it closer. I won't let anything happen to you, they whispered, conviction tightening their voice. As they navigated the forest, memories flashed through the traveler's mind. A childhood pet they once rescued, the promise they once made to themselves to never turn away from a life in need. Maybe that promise was what guided their feet now. Maybe destiny had brought them to this very moment. Finally, the trees began to thin. Light returned, drifting through the branches like warm threads of hope. The traveler breathed deeply. Relief washed through them, but just as they stepped forward, a sharp rustle echoed from behind. Branches snapped, footsteps, heavy ones, approached through the shadows. The traveler froze, turning slowly. Something was coming, something big. Their heart pounded. The baby animal whimpered again. This journey wasn't over. It had only just begun. Rehook, and in that moment, the traveler realized, saving one life might mean risking their own. The forest fell completely silent, not the natural kind of silence, but the heavy, unsettling stillness that makes every instinct in the body wake up. The traveler slowly turned toward the sound that had cracked through the quiet. Branches shifted in the distance, and something large moved between the trees, just out of sight. The tiny creature in their arms trembled, burying its small head deeper into the cloth. The traveler tightened their grip protectively, their heart thudding faster. "Easy. I've got you," they whispered, even though they were trying to calm themselves as much as the little one. Another branch snapped, closer this time. The traveler stepped back instinctively. Their eyes scanned the tree line, searching for movement, a shadow, a shape, anything. The dense mist made it nearly impossible to see. Then, a pair of glowing eyes appeared between the bushes, yellow, wide. Watching, the traveler's breath caught. A wild animal, perhaps a wolf or a large predator, had sensed the injured baby. Nature could be beautiful, but it could also be merciless. And predators rarely ignored vulnerable prey. The traveler shifted their posture, keeping the baby animal tucked safely against their chest while slowly retreating toward a clearer path. Their boots pressed softly into the soil, careful not to provoke anything hiding in the fog. The glowing eyes moved, then disappeared. The traveler's heart raced. They wanted to run, desperately, but running might only invite danger. Reached the ground here, chasing away the mist. Birds chirped softly above, as if welcoming them back to safety. The traveler finally exhaled a shaky breath. "We're okay, we made it," they murmured to the tiny creature, but the moment of relief didn't last long. As they looked around, they realized something worse. They were completely off the main trail. The forest had twisted their direction when they fled from shadow. The familiar path was gone. No signs, no markers, no footprints. Just an endless stretch of trees that all looked exactly the same. The traveler felt a ripple of fear, but then looked down at the baby animal in their arms. Its small chest rose and fell, fragile but alive. That was enough to keep them steady. "It will find a way out," they said, more confidently this time. "I promise." The traveler adjusted the cloth around the little one and stepped forward, determined to keep going, even if it meant carving out a new path entirely. But unknown to them, they were not as alone as they believed. From the shadows, someone, or something, was following. Rehook, and what the traveler would discover next would change everything they thought they knew about this forest. The traveler tightened their backpack straps and stepped deeper into the forest, choosing a direction guided more by instinct than by certainty. It didn't matter anymore which path was easiest. What mattered was keeping the tiny creature alive in their arms. The baby animal whimpered softly, nestling closer to the warmth of the cloth. The traveler whispered, "We're almost there. Stay with me." But the forest still felt strange, different. The air buzzed with an odd tension. Birds had gone silent. Even the wind had paused, as if the entire forest was holding its breath. The traveler glanced behind them. For a moment, they were sure they saw a figure, tall, quiet, half hidden behind a tree. But when they blinked, the figure was gone. "Maybe I'm just tired," they muttered. But deep down, they knew something, or someone, was still following. As the traveler pushed through the final line of dense shrubs, a sudden beam of sunlight burst through the canopy above, landing directly on a narrow path. The traveler's breath caught. They knew this path. It was the one leading out of the forest, but before they could celebrate, a rustling sound appeared again, louder this time, faster. The traveler spun around, ready to protect the tiny creature with their own body if necessary. From the shadows emerged a man, not a predator, not a threat, but a rescue ranger, wearing a green uniform, carrying a radio, flashlight, and first aid kit. The ranger called out, breathless. "We've been looking for you. Some hikers reported strange sounds in this area. I came to check." His eyes widened when he saw the baby animal. "Oh no, it's injured." The traveler nodded silently, still catching their breath. The ranger approached slowly, assessing the situation with trained eyes. "You did the right thing," he said gently. "Let's get this little one to safety. There's an animal care center nearby." For the first time since the journey began, the traveler felt genuine relief wash over them. Their legs weakened from the mix of exhaustion and gratitude. Together, they walked down the narrow path. The ranger led the way confidently, clearing branches and guiding the traveler through the final stretch of the forest. The sunlight grew warmer. The mist faded. The road widened. At last, they stepped out into an open clearing where a small wooden cabin and a rescue vehicle stood waiting. The ranger carefully took the baby animal, examining its wounds with gentle hands. "It'll make it," he said with a comforting smile. "Thanks to you." The traveler exhaled deeply, a long breath they had been holding since the moment they first found the tiny creature. Their heart felt lighter now, knowing that one small act of kindness had saved a life. The baby animal let out the faintest sound, not fear this time, but relief. A second chance. A new beginning. As the sun dipped lower and the ranger carried the little creature inside, the traveler watched quietly, knowing that sometimes heroes are just ordinary people who choose not to walk away.